Hey, it's me, Art of Singularity, and welcome to my new video. In this video, I will be basically showing you how to go from like the basic mannequin, like the bare bones simplified version of a body, to the final, I guess, fleshy version of the body. So basically the entire idea is, oh, and also this is from a comment. So thank you. Also thank you, because we're at 225 subscribers. So yeah, thank you very much. Anyways, like I was saying, so essentially all this is about is going like just adding the muscles on top. We're just going to be adding the muscles and fat, and that's really all you're doing. So we're skipping past some, I guess, less favorable what's it called, attempts, because I tried to simplify it right there and then I didn't like it. So this is the last attempt, which I think gets the point across, I guess, the best out of those messy versions. And also I think having some knowledge of like anatomy does help, right? Because then you know how to map the muscles and the fat on top of the structure. But yeah, so really I think the main difficulties is about the connection point between the hips and the rib cage, so like the top box and the bottom box. So really what you're doing is, I guess you'll see. Basically, the side of the body, right? You see how how the top one is bending in and the bottom one is bending out. Those two are they're supposed to be intersecting. Those two, like the fat and the skin from those. So you can see how right there it creates kind of a fold. Usually, right? Unless you're curling inwards, kind of like in a fetal position. But if you're not in that position, and you're like bending back, I think usually there is some amount of squishing and folding happening. I think that, and then on the other side you have the stomach. So I think generally the stomach is this kind of shape that pushes out of the frame, and it's basically just stretching between the two. So you don't really have to worry about any folding or anything like that. Just for this shape that I was showing, right? You don't really have to worry about anything like that. It's just pretty basic. I kind of put the leg a little bit too close. It kind of looks odd. I don't think I really fixed it, but yeah, so that's about it for this one. The next one is going to be, I think it's more clear what I'm doing when I'm putting everything on top of the body and stuff. I tried to say and such because I say and such a lot, but yeah. Also, so the leg closest to you, I think it's an interesting connection point, because you do have so your pelvis has bones, obviously, right? And they kind of, depending on I guess how much fat or skin and muscle there are, you can see it more clearly. So depending on what body you're drawing, you can end up there is a connection point between that and the legs. I don't know. I might have not explained that properly, but hey. So this is the body, or this is the reference, not the reference. What am I talking about? This is the example, right? This example is way easier to follow, I think. For where the body connects. So I'm just drawing the arms right now. I'm not really focusing on them here because I think they're not really the difficult part, unless they are, but I guess they could be tricky. So right here, you see how the top is going. I didn't really do a guidelines for this, but I guess I'm gonna break it down just like how I did the ones down there. But you see how the leg closest to us, it has this line leading into the actual thigh. That's kind of what I'm talking about. where I was saying the pelvis kind of creates this line there sometimes. Also, when the arms are raised, the chest usually goes up with it. I say usually. It does go. It goes up. It stretches upwards, right? So you can see kind of how like it's being pulled up to the where the armpit and everything else is connected, and the shoulders. So, yeah. So having a good idea about how the fat and muscles move with the body, like in different poses, I think that like, I know that does help a lot. So here's a more simple version where I actually do the guidelines first. So we start with the rib cage, and then we have the hips, and I do tend to put them on accident a little bit too far, like apart. So I do kind of have to fix that. But yeah, so when you have like this basic shape, usually to connect them, I start with the stomach. So I would start with so this part right here, that's like the ending of the rib cage, if you know what I'm saying. And then the stomach is this kind of slab, basically. The slab of muscle. So what I'm drawing here is basically just the musculature, kind of, and skeleton. So this is how you kind of want to represent it. I'm just drawing the form lines so you can see how it's actually shaped. So in general, like if you have low fat, then you should be able to see I guess there'd be a shadow in the middle, kind of. And I don't think you really, the only important part is where the belly button is. That's where the main shadow of like that area would be. But like I was saying, depending on how much fat, how much muscle there is, you're gonna get to see more shadow going up the stomach. And the more fat you have, the less there will be actual shadow there. So I think it just depends on the body type you're drawing. It also depends on your art style, right, and how much detail you want to put in. And so now what I'm doing here is I'm going to be just drawing the skin part of it, so like what you actually see and how everything actually looks when you're done, I guess. So I'm doing those folds again, right? So when the back part of the ribs meets your hips. And then yeah. So this line right there, that's what I was talking about, kind of like how the pelvis. I don't actually know what it is. I'm gonna assume it's the pelvis, but the bone there, that's making that part, because it also could be the fold. Also, I think I did kind of mess up. I think the leg is supposed to be folding, so there's supposed to be more of a circular, folding happening right there, because the leg is lifted up slightly. So that's a little bit of a mistake on my part. But yeah. I think the chest is kind of more. It's kind of difficult because you have to get like the feel for how, like, depending on how much fat there is, how it falls on the body, kind of. And, well, yeah, I'm gonna be doing I'm gonna be doing a separate video on that type of thing. So here's me shading the stomach, like how I was talking about earlier. And yeah, and then we're going to be moving on to basically just a little bit of other examples. I keep forgetting that word. Just going to be a small time lapse here, which is just me, I guess, finishing up some other some other examples on the screen, just like doing some shading on it, and then I'm gonna be like back doing an actual drawing in like a second, like literally like in about 2 seconds. So it should be about here after I finish up this. I just added more shading and muscles there. Okay, that took a little bit more than 2 seconds, but yeah. So this is another body. So I guess what I'm really focusing on with this example here is how depending on the perspective, like the angle of where you're looking at the body, what lines are going to appear. So yeah, so the angle here is you're kind of more lower, you're lower, so you can see how the stomach, actually it's not even that, it's the fact that this one is more of a like scrunching or crunching, curling inwards, right? So you're like leaning forwards, and when you lean forwards, right, like a crease forms on the stomach, and that's kind of what I'm trying to show here. I think what was I gonna say? Yeah, focusing on that is really what I'm doing. I guess the chest is also important, so what I'm doing is just showing how the chest would fall exactly on the body. Now, of course, right, usually you're gonna, like, I guess you just modify it to what you want. And this is really basically important, so when you're drawing clothes, right, you know how to actually have them fall, like, go over the forms underneath. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm just adding in some extra lines, stuff like that. I didn't actually draw any guidelines for this one. I guess I was trying to focus mainly on how everything intersects and stuff. So yeah, so I'll just be what's it called, time-lapsing it, so we get to the next one. So the next example is basically the last one, and then after that I'm just gonna finish up the page, and then the video is basically over. So yeah, so here's the next one. Right about now I should be getting on that. if I could do that. Can I please do that? Thank you very much. So for this drawing, this one I actually did do the guidelines, just for a final, I guess, send off for the video. And it's just, so it's from the side, like the first one, kind of. And then we just add all the stuff that I was talking about, right? So we get the fold for when the rib cage folds into the hips area. Right here, if I'm doing that. I think I'm doing that. I didn't really do it. Well, I guess maybe I have to see in the end. And then you kind of can see the stomach. And depending on how, like, the body is, like, the stomach kind of pokes out a little bit when you turn to the side, I think. And that's probably due to the muscles. Probably? I think it's definitely due to the muscles. I don't think people really have that much fat at the top of their abdomen, right below their ribcage. I don't think that has much fat, so I think it's very, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's muscles, unless I'm wrong, unless I do need to take more anatomy. Anyways, yeah, so you see that I did actually do the folds there. See, I think it's basically over now, right? I think this is just me shading. Usually I would time-lapse this, but I didn't, so hey. I guess it was pretty short, so I guess I didn't really need to time-lapse it. Oh, do have the chest. I did draw a chest on this. I forgot, because I usually only draw the chest when there's like an arm to connect it to, because I use the arm to really base everything off of when I'm drawing the chest. But I guess I didn't in this one. I felt special. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for, like, you know, clicking on the video, for liking, for subscribing. Like I said, we're like 225. That's, so like today, I guess, so there's like six earlier, plus 5, that's like basically 11. So yeah, thank you very much. And thank you for the comments and the likes and everything else. Yeah, but so this is basically the finished page. I'm just gonna do a little doodle at the bottom right. In a little while, if I would do that. Could you please do that so I can finish the voiceover? I kind of want to finish the voiceover. Is this like a speed? I think this might go to a time lapse. There you go. I keep trying to say speed paint, but it's not speed painting because I'm not painting anything. Yeah, I'm just going over and darkening some lines and adding shading in some areas. Oh, I did the arrows here for the thumbnail. I'm so proactive. But yeah, so this is basically the finished page. I don't have a finished page image, so I'm just gonna keep it. So I kept it like as a video, basically, of me doing the doodle and stuff. So yeah, that is about it. So yeah, like I said, thank you for coming here, and I guess goodbye.